Hello, welcome back to Sarah's Computer Sessions. Today I will be giving an introduction on control statements. This class will include the introduction as well as the categorical representation of control statements. I have also included a real life example of your daily routine to better understand how sequence can be changed or what are the variations of sequences that are possible. Okay, so this is actually aimed to make the beginners better understand what control statements are all about, or what is actually the objective behind using control statements. So understanding what control statements are and why it is actually incorporated in programming, we have to clearly understand what is flow of control in programming. So we know that programs are written using functions, the main function being the compulsory function. We have already written 2 to 3 programs with this main function, right? And a set of one or more statements will be present inside any function that we write. Need not be only the main function, but in all the functions that we write, we will be having a set of one or more statements, either one statement or more than one statements. So the normal execution behavior of a program is such that the execution proceeds from the first statement in a function, and it will proceed like from one statement to the next statement from top to bottom, right? So but if the program at hand actually requires a change in the normal execution sequence, like for example, suppose you are given a program to accept two numbers and calculate the sum of the two numbers, and again the program extends, or the problem is extended to another situation where you have to check this resulted sum, whether it is greater than 50 or it is less than 50, and you are actually required to do some tasks if it is greater than 50, if the sum is greater than 50, and you are required to do another specific set of tasks if it is lesser than 50. So if such a program is put in front of you, you will obviously have to change the normal execution of the sequence, right? So the flow of control is actually the order in which the statements are executed in a running program. So when you mean when you what do you mean by the order in which the statements are executed? It is like breaking the sequence. As I said, if the normal sequence was like from one statement to the next statement and to the next statement until it reaches the last statement, this execution, when it is broken, or if the normal execution does not take place, then it means that a program can actually jump from one statement to any other statement in any other location. For example, if suppose the program is being executed and the program is obeying the normal sequence, like from first statement, then the second statement, then the third statement. Upon reaching the third statement, if suppose something happens, okay, if suppose there it encounters a control statement wherein which a decision has to be made, like a check has to be made. For example, like if the result is greater than 50 or less than 50, like that, if any kind of check has to be made, okay, and as the result of the checking that is performed, the execution sequence can jump from the third statement to maybe the fifth statement or maybe the 10th statement, omitting the statements in between. So that is actually what you have to understand as the flow of control. We know that when the program starts execution, the control is being transferred to the main function. It is from the main function that other functions are being called and executed. So if suppose a program contains only the main function, okay, so starting from the first statement, that will probably be local declarations and initializations. So starting from the first statement, the flow of control progresses to a point where the program demands a decision to be made. So if such a case appears in a program, the flow of control changes. the normal execution changes. Okay, so it is where the normal execution changes, these control statements come into play. Let's move on to the next slide. Let us see some real life examples which is not at all connected to programming. This is included in this session just for your better understanding. I hope that you'll understand how this control statements play a role in a program when you actually see this real life examples. Okay, so yes, let us take our daily routine. I think I have taken this daily routine example in my first classes where I was explaining algorithm, features of algorithm. Because we know, like, we are very familiar with our daily routines, right? So it's always better to start with a daily routine example. So let's consider this sequence as our primary sequence, or the sequence 1, where this is a normal routine that any man can have. Okay, so yeah, you will get up from the bed. The first thing that you will do maybe is to brush your teeth. You'll go to toilet, you'll say your morning prayer, and you'll have a tea, and then you'll have a study time, right? If you are a school going student or a college going student, you will have some kind of a study time allotted to you every morning. And then after the study time, you may read your newspaper, and then you'll have some exercise, and then you'll take a shower, then you'll have breakfast, then you'll get ready for school or college, and you'll be off to school or college. So here in the sequence, if you just look at the 11 steps here, it just goes from one step to the next step and to the next step. There is no omission of steps, there is no decision to be made. It's so simple. You start from the first step, you go sequentially in a very reflex action order from one step to the next step, until you go get ready and be off to school. Okay, now let's change this sequence a bit and see how these kinds of decision making and controls are executed in this sequence. Okay, so moving on to the sequence 2. Yes, you start off with brushing your teeth, going to toilets, morning prayer, having a tea. Yes. See the step number 5. I have incorporated a decision. If not vacation. So normally students will have, they might, divide their study year as the vacation period and non-vacation period. So if it is not a vacation, obviously you will have a study time. But if it is a vacation, will you go sit and study in the morning? No way. So if not vacation, you will have a study time. But if it is a vacation, you'll omit this step 5, right? You don't think of study itself. You'll just go straight away after having tea to read newspaper, then go to exercise time, take a shower, have breakfast. And if not vacation, you'll get ready for school or college, and you'll be off to school or college. Else, so else means, in this particular sequence, in this particular example, the else that is being displayed here just means that if it is vacation, you'll have each day, each plan. I just confined it to one single sentence. But actually in this, within this else, there can be many different decisions made, because normally in vacation time, you may be having fun activities for different days. Like, if today you're going for the cinema, maybe tomorrow or this weekend you'll be going for an excursion, or maybe for some other vacation classes, stuffs like that. So what I just want to convey to you using the sequence is that this sequence is actually very similar to the last sequence that you just saw. But in the last sequence, you did not have any decisions to make. You were just moving from one step to another without thinking over. But when that sequence was just modified to include a decision, see how the program changed. So similarly to the example that I told you at first, like to add two numbers and to check whether the sum is greater than, so you can either, if your program given to you is just to add two numbers, that's it. It's a sequential program. You will not have any control statements in that, inside that. But if your program actually demands to do more, like, after getting the result, to check the result whether it's greater than 50, or whether it is equal to 0, or whether it is a prime number or not, like, if the program progresses, you have to understand that there is a, change of flow of control that will be happening in the program that you write. So you have to prepare your mind to, write the program in such a manner that uh, there will be difference in the sequence that will be coming from one step to the next step. Okay, so this is a very simple sequence example that in which I've taken a decision incorporating statement or step within. So let's move on to the next sequence, which is also a daily routine sequence. Yes, just to show you that the if else actually can come in your daily routine. So if it can come in your daily routine, that means it can come in the programs that you write. Okay, so yes, suppose you have an assignment to complete, uh, in the morning. If you have not completed, so how will the sequence change? Let's see. Yeah, you'll start with brushing your teeth, you'll go to toilet, you'll have your morning prayer, you'll have a tea. Yes, next the decision has been changed, or the condition that I am going to check inside the if statement is like different from the condition that I was checking in the last sequence. In the last sequence I checked if not vacation, right? So here I've changed it, like if is it an assignment submission date today, or is it like I have not completed my assignment? If any of the particular condition is true, what will happen? I will sit and complete it. Instead of studying other subjects, the first priority will be given to assignment completion. Else, if I have completed it, that means I will go read my newspaper. Okay, so that is another nature of a decision that is being made in my daily routine. Okay, so then exercise time, take a shower, have breakfast, get ready for school or college, and off to school or college. Let's change this again, starting by brushing your teeth, going to toilet, morning prayer, having a tea. If assignment submission date or assignment not completed, you're going to complete it. Yes, I have incorporated an else if here. See, if either my assignment is not completed, I'm going to complete it. Okay. Else, if time permits, I will read my newspaper and do a short exercise. Okay. So I hope that you're understanding this. See the if statement. If I've not completed my assignment, I will be going and sitting and completing it. Okay. Now, suppose if I've completed my assignment, but I sat late up at night, so that I woke up early. Woke up late. What will happen? I will have time shortage. So if time permits, I'll read my newspaper and do a short exercise. Okay. So I hope that you're understanding how can conditions be checked and how can it be formed into statements or algorithms that can be written. You can either use only if, you can either use if else, you can use if else if. It all depends upon the condition that is put forward to you, or the problem that is put forward to you for you to write the program. Okay, so coming on to the next step, take a shower, have breakfast, get ready for school or college, and after college. Now let's see one more sequence where, let's see. Okay, starting from brushing your teeth, going to the toilet, morning prayer, having tea, study time. I just don't want to explain it more. Read newspaper, exercise time, take a shower, have breakfast, get ready for school or college. Yes, here comes the next step. You suppose you're putting shoe, you're wearing your shoe and you're tying it, okay, with the it's a shoe with a shoelace, and you're gonna try tying it. And suppose if it's not properly tied for the first time, you'll try repeating it so that you'll get it tied properly, right? So you'll repeat tying your shoe until it's tied properly. So while see the condition, if the shoe is not tied properly, you'll repeat the tie up procedure. Until when? Until the shoe is tied properly. Okay. So this is another kind of condition that can be checked where repetition is coming. See, until you get it done, you'll repeat the steps. So these are all the controls that can be incorporated into any sequence, whether it is your daily life routines, whether it is different kinds of real life examples, whether it is programming strategies. Everywhere you can see these controls being executed, and depending upon the controls, the sequence varies, right? And off to school or college. So control statements embody the design logic that tells the executing program what action to carry out next, depending on the values of certain variables or the values of certain expression statements. So these variables or these expression statements are actually test expression, and depending upon the result of a test expression, the program control shifts from one statement to another statement, or one block to another block. Okay, I hope that you are understanding what I'm saying. So please try to understand that control statements are those statements that will have some kind of a decision logic. Okay, so and depending upon the decision logic, the computer or the compiler has to, or the program executing program has to carry out actions. Okay, and these actions, which action to carry out, depends upon the condition that is provided along with the control statements. Okay, now in the earlier schedule examples, you have seen if else, if and while. It was just a very simple um, you know representation of these control constructs. I will be taking it in detail, don't worry. This was just to make you understand that these control statements or these controls in particular does not only come along with programming, it comes in our day-to-day lives. Realize that and relate all those to the programming while you study these control statements. So the control statements in C, they include actually selection, iteration, and jumping statements. So let's see the different kinds of control constructs. This is just a diagrammatic representation. So control statements can be broadly classified into selection or branching and iteration or looping. Selection or branching actually happens when we check a condition and we decide on to which path we should take or move forward in a program. Iteration and looping comes where a condition is checked, and depending upon the condition, we try to repeat a set of statements so that a particular condition is met. If you're getting confused by what I said, please don't worry. We will be dealing with each and every statements along with practical problems. So programs. So don't worry. Okay. So selection branching can be broadly again classified as conditional type and unconditional type. In conditional type, we have if, nested if else, switch, and if else if. So these are the different types of statements that can be used to incorporate conditions inside the program that you write. Okay, depending upon what the program demands. Okay, so actually when you're studying control statements and when you're relating it with the programs that you are going to write, whenever you get a program, you have to first understand the program, what it is actually, what is the actual aim of the program, And then from that understanding, you have to figure out whether the program actually demands any control statements, whether some kind of decisions are to be taken in the program to reach to the solution. Okay, now if you find out that yes, a decision has to be taken, the next step is to identify which control statement should come. If it either, if it like, is it an if, is it a switch statement, is it an if else statement? So for properly understanding, these steps, like first to understand the program, then to understand whether a decision logic should be implemented, and then to understand which control statement should be implemented, you have to properly understand the theory behind all these different kinds of statements. Okay, so here, as I said, in the selection category of statements, you have conditional type, and inside the conditional type you have if else, nested if, switch, and if else if. In the unconditional type, you have break, you have continue, and go to. We usually don't use go to because go to is very unpredictable. It's actually not that safe to use go to, but still when you actually diagrammatically represent control statements, we specify this go to statement. Okay, now break and continue is not similar to the conditional type statements that you have seen, that is actually marked in blue rectangles. Break and continue can be used along with the other conditional type of statements to break the sequence or continue the sequence. I'll explain it further when I'll be teaching it with the example of programs, with program examples. Okay. Now next, moving on to iteration and looping. It has for, while, and do while. So I hope that you understood the theory behind, or the concept behind control statements. Okay, why it is used. I hope that you understood the diagram. Please study this to draw this diagram. So if you're getting a theory question on control statements in essay, this diagram is of utmost importance. Okay, so that's it for today. Hello, I hope that this video was useful for you. Now, this was actually aimed to, you know, provide knowledge for the beginner level students. So those who are watching me, those who are not beginners in this area, you might find this really simple, but don't worry. In the coming sessions, I will be taking each statements in detail and giving program examples also. Please like, share, and subscribe if you truly like my classes. Hope to see you soon. God bless you.